Hello and welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep IAS. As part of your Target Prelims 2023, today we'll be discussing 25 questions dealing with art and culture and current affairs. Firstly, I hope that you're enjoying these sessions. This is the second last one. Tomorrow we'll be having a session on reports and indices. But what is more important is that nowadays this art and culture current affairs has become quite important because in the UPSC examination, the art and culture questions are getting dictated by current affairs. And therefore, 25 such questions have been created which cover close to 30 to 35 different topics which deal with current affair vis-a-vis art and culture. And basically the endeavor here is to impart two things. First is to give you the basic knowledge of that art and culture current affairs, and second is to evaluate how your preparation is vis-a-vis if you know that concept itself. So throughout the session, we'll be having a poll which will be pushed to you in the chat section, and we'll see how many of you are able to get the right answers. And as I said, Target Prelims 2023, we have been having sessions from polity to geography to science and technology. Everything we're trying to cover, as many 400 plus topics of current affairs. If you haven't watched these sessions, please do. And with this, let us start our discussion for today. Good evening, and I hope that everybody is comfortable and we can begin our first main important topic. Right. So the way we are going to conduct it is that we will first discuss the question, then I'll give you the current affairs part of it, and then we'll move to the next question. So that without telling you the basic context, we'll go about this. And thereafter, I'll give you the basic context of why I asked you this question generally. So with reference to Dharamshala Declaration, which was recently in the news, consider the following statements. So the question is about Dharamshala Declaration. It was passed by the Conference of Ministers of Culture of the G20 member states. It emphasizes on the concept of sustainable and responsible tourism in the member states in the post-pandemic era. Which of the statements are correct? Now, I'm going to give you time. 58% you have answered 57, 61% of you are arguing C. A is 3%, B is 36%, and D is 3%. Now, please note it's saying correct, Dharamshala Declaration. And what is the basic point? So, we have C 59%, 33% B, 3% A, and 3% D. However, the answer here is actually neither one nor two. None of the statements are correct. And this is the most surprising part because Dharamshala Declaration was in the news quite a lot. It has nothing to do with G20. This is why I made this question in such a way because G20 has been in the news quite a lot. It has nothing to do with G20. The Dharamshala Declaration basically deals with a national conference which happened for state tourism ministers. And the concept was that we will have sustainable and responsible tourism in India, but not for the member states of the G20. Further, there's a vow that we will try to create the post-pandemic tourism sector into 1 trillion economy by 2047. But the basic point is, don't fall into this trap. Everything which you come with this G20 concept does not automatically become correct. See, it is a national conference of state tourism ministers. Further, it's a holistic vision which talks about USD $1 trillion for 2047. That is the target itself. And it wants to create India as a global leader in tourism. But the most important concept was we need to have sustainable and responsible tourism. So this question, the people who've marked C, you know the basic idea. But here, till this point, this statement is correct. However, what does it say? In the member states, Vikas, it says member states. It's only about India. It has nothing to do with G20. That is the basic point of this question. It very simply is a question which tricks you because something is in the news and you have the tourism sector which was also in the news because of the pandemic. And now together, if I bring these two things together, you now get a question in which you are marking C. So please remember, first things first, Dharamshala Declaration, nothing to do with G20. It's a declaration which came from a national conference of all state tourism ministers. And very simply, they argued that we will create sustainable and responsible tourism in India, and further we'll make India the foremost country when it comes to tourism and $1 trillion tourism sector by 2047. Three things are there, very straightforward, not even difficult. But this is the type of question where you know it, but you got it incorrect because you mixed up two things. So I hope you get the point of this discussion. I'm going to first discuss the question with you, then we'll discuss the concept, and thereafter we will try to evaluate where we need to place it in our larger constellation of current affairs. So I think first question itself has caught you LBW. So let's move to the second question. Okay. Consider the following statements with reference to the National Maritime Heritage Complex, which was recently in the news. It is being constructed at the only Harappan World Heritage Site of Dholavira. Once constructed, it will be the world's tallest lighthouse museum. We have to now see which is correct. Again, I'm giving you time. I want everybody's answer. Come on. B, 67% is coming out to be the one which is the forerunner here. 63%. B, very good. Everybody's already caught the lie here. Perfect, Shahnawaz, Divya, great. Great, 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 great. Yes, very good. So, let's end the poll here. 63% have answered B, 18% C, 11% D, and A 5%. Perfect. Great. Yes, the only statement which is correct is 2 only, because the catch here is it is not being constructed at Dholavira but Lothal. And Lothal has been in the news recently for the same reason. Yes, it will be having the tallest lighthouse museum in the world. So what is the context here? Very good. The first point is Lothal has been in the news because it is the oldest dockyard which we found in India. And as it is, Maritime Heritage Complex would only make sense not in Dholavira, which is not a port city, but rather at Lothal, which is a port city. Further, the world's tallest lighthouse museum, there's a proper complex which is coming through, which is now going to give us a very beautiful account of ancient, medieval and modern maritime history. So this is the proposed National Maritime Museum which is going to come up in Lothal in Gujarat, and it has a lot of different features. World's tallest lighthouse museum, 14 galleries highlighting India's maritime history, even coastal states pavilions are going to be there. So it's going to be one museum which one should visit in their lifetime for sure, because it is going to give a very beautiful account of our coastal history, of our maritime overseas history in that regard. So this question has not been manipulated too much, but the basic point of the matter is it says once constructed. If I had said as, it is not, it is in the process of construction. As of right now, the world's tallest museum is not in India, it is in Sweden. But once constructed, meaning once it will be constructed, then it will be the world's tallest lighthouse museum. Again, the catch here is the first part of the read closely. Read closely. If it had said it is, I have not used present tense, I have used future tense. If it would have been it is the world's tallest lighthouse museum, then that statement would have been incorrect. It says it will be. So why not? So first statement totally incorrect. Though yes, only Harappan site which has got the UNESCO World Heritage Tag is Dholavira. However, it is not about Dholavira but Lothal. And further, once constructed, will have the tallest lighthouse museum in the world. So read carefully. This is why I told you this session is more about your techniques and how you're applying your current affairs more than anything. So please pay attention to the statements, because one word can change the context itself. Now, just to add to the current affairs aspect, if you didn't know about this, though you knew about it, that's why 64% of you answered correctly. The simple point is it has an exhibition section. It will be a theme park based concept. Ancient, medieval, colonial, modern, all types of maritime history will be there. It will also showcase what are called old style ships and the maritime history of India vis-a-vis ship construction also. And please note this point. But remember, in the examination, if it says in present tense, it is going to become incorrect because it is in the process of getting constructed. Once constructed, it will be. If it said it is, then the statement would have been incorrect. Right? Question number 2 clear? Can we move to the third question? Yes? Got it? Perfect. Great. Yes, Dhaulavira is the only UNESCO World Heritage Site of the Harappan civilization. No other Harappan site, Indus Valley civilization, has got a UNESCO World Heritage Tag. Okay. With reference to the numismatics history of India, consider the following statements. The Three Swami Pagoda was minted by the British at Madras to mask their colonial intentions. The Indo-Greeks were the first to issue Lakshmi series coins in Indian subcontinent. Which of the following statements are correct? Again, come on, let's see. A 33%, B 33%. Come on. A 40, B 19, C 34. There's a tussle between A and C. 36, 30, D 11%. So it's a mixed bag that way. Let's give it 2 to 3 seconds more. Come on, everybody has to answer. If you're in the session, we need to have it in this interactive way. Come on. 30, 38, 23, 29. Okay. So let's end the poll here. Great. So it's a mixed bag. However, 37% of you are totally correct. 28, 24, 9. Yes. The Three Swami Pagoda was minted by the British at Madras. And this was a continuation of the pagoda tradition, which is basically Vijayanagara's currency. And this was to basically show that the British were here just as this new type of ruler. So the masking of colonial intention means that basically they're talking about how the British did not want to intervene too much at this point of time, which is the early 18th century. So this statement is totally correct. I'll show you the coin also. So this is called the Three Swami Pagoda of the British. But it's not just the British which used to issue coins which had Indian deities, but also the French and the Dutch. The French and the Dutch, this is the Dutch and the French coin, also issued in the same sector. They used to show Vishnu and therefore goddess Kali. So Vishnuji and goddess Kali were actually represented in the French and Dutch coins. But this is the most beautiful form of pagoda which was issued by the British. And all was to make sure where Lord Balaji along with Sri Devi and Bhudevi are represented. Lord Balaji, Sri Devi and Bhudevi. And therefore, this is the way the British did not want to intervene too much. So it's the East India Company which used to issue this coin. However, the catch here is the second statement, wherein it says the Indo-Greeks were the first to issue Lakshmi series coins in the Indian subcontinent. No. Indo-Greeks never issued any coinage which had Indian deities. Yes, the Indo-Greeks are credited to introduce proper coinage in India with the concept of proper round double die struck coins as they are called. And you have the bust of the king along with inscriptions and even dates on their coins. But the biggest problem is that they never issued any coins with Indian deities. It was all Greek gods, Apollo, Athena, Zeus. It is actually the Kushanas, and this is the current affairs context of this concept, wherein the Kushanas recent study has pointed out that the Kushanas in the post-modern period were the first to actually issue goddess Lakshmi series coins, and therefore they become in the numismatics. Numismatics is the study of coins. Numismatical history, the first such dynasty to actually release coins with Indian deities. So it's not just that they issued coins with goddess Lakshmi, they also had Iranic gods and Greek gods. Kushanas in that sense used to connect the Central Asian sector with the Indian subcontinent. Therefore, they even had the Iranic god Adrosho, who represents wealth, and they also had Oesho, which is Lord Shiva, the Miro, which is moon deity, and Buddha also. So multiple deities, but the study actually wanted to check, which is that for the first time, which dynasty actually issued the Lakshmi series coins, because Lakshmi series coins have persisted throughout Indian history. First appeared in the Kushana period, thereafter it goes into the Vijayanagara period. Even Gori issued what are called the Lakshmi series coins, and thereafter it is the British and even the French and the Dutch which continued this tradition wherein Indian deities were shown. So it's a very important current affairs which was there. We cannot expect a straightforward question, but this type of question, when they are mixing up 2-3 things together, So please remember, numismatics history important, generally coinage for mains examination, but for prelims also we can get these type of questions in the examination generally. You can get this type of question. So I hope that you got this question correct. Only first statement is correct, second statement is totally incorrect, not Indo-Greeks. Remember, Indo-Greeks are only proper coinage and what are called gold, issued gold coinage, but never circulated them in the Indian subcontinent, only north of Hindu Kush itself. And Kushanas are also the ones who issued and circulated gold coinage in India. And volume-wise, it was the Guptas who had the most volume or the highest volume of gold coinage in India. So it's a very simple question, needs application of your concept of what we call as current affairs, but also static, because it's a static based current affairs question. Okay, we'll move to the next question now. 3 statements and 1 statement, 2 statements, 3 statement type question. Consider the following statements. The Chennakeshwar temple, built during the Chalukyan period, is known for its stepped pond called the Vasudeva Tirtha. The Kesava temple, a specimen of Vesara style of architecture, is known for its lathe-turned pillars. The Kasipeta in Telangana as a site represents a continuity from the Mesolithic period to the megalithic age in this region. Which of the statements are correct? 1 statement, 2 statement, 3 statement, or none of the statements itself? Okay, again, I'll give you more time this time to answer, and we have to see out of these 3 statements, which 1, 2 or 3 statements or none of the statements is correct, incorrect. So you just have to, number-wise, Akshay, it is going to be Kushanas. Numerically, Kushanas is the highest number of gold coins, but it was basically the concept of remember, volume-wise it is Gupta. Okay. A, 13, B, very good, 71%. Very good. Everybody knows their art and culture current affairs quite well as of right now. 15%. C, D, 4%, but we are hovering around 70% for B. So the catch here is not that you are getting the answer correct, but I'm going to ask you another set of questions. Okay, we can end the poll. 75% of it totally correct. Here the answer is 2 statements are correct out of the 3. 74% B, perfect. But now you tell me which statement is incorrect. 1, 2 or 3? Come on. Which statement is incorrect? Some are saying 3, some are saying 1, 2, mixed bag. But yes, most of you are getting it correct. See, second and third statement are correct. First statement is incorrect because if you actually look at it very closely, you will find the catch. It says, the Kesava temple, a specimen of Vesara style, is known for its lathe-turned pillars. Yes. What is common to the first 2 is that both have been nominated as the official nomination from the UNESCO tentative list for World Heritage Sites for India for 2022-23. And the catch in the first statement is, Chennakeshwar temple, yes, known for stepped pond, is not a Chalukyan period temple. It is Hoysala. Therefore, what is common to these 2 is that both are Hoysalian temples, not Chalukyan. Therefore, if you don't read again very closely, you'll get this question incorrect. Wherein Chennakeshwar and Kesava, both of these temples, built by Vishnuvardhan in 1117 CE and has what is called the Vasudev Tirtha, and you have the second one, which is the Chennakeshwar temple along with the Kesava temple. Both are basically specimens of what we call as Hoysala art. Hoysaleshwara, Hoysala all fall into Vesara style itself. So if you thought that this statement is incorrect, no, it is a specimen of Vesara style only. And Chennakeshwara temple is known for the Vasudeva Tirtha. Just to refresh your memory vis-a-vis what we call as Vesara style, just to tell you, see, you have this zigzag plan here, which is the first feature which makes it Vesara. Second, this is called Jagati. This Jagati is a very specific word used for Hoysaleshwara art and more than that the Vesara style. Further, the black basaltic rock which is used is also properly Vesara in that regard. More than that, the plan of the temple is again zigzag. You can see it's a zigzag. This zigzag design is something which is always seen in Hoysaleshwara temple. So you can see it here also. Here we get a specimen of how it is Vesara, wherein it is a mixture of Dravida and Nagara. How? Because we have a temple which has a shikhar type structure, but the designing is Dravida. So it is looks like a shikhar, but designed like a Vimana from Dravida in that regard. Again, you can see Jagati and zigzag design. And this is called a lathe turned pillar. This is called a lathe turned pillar. The polishing is extremely beautiful. That is why this is a very important concept. If you know Hoysaleshwara temple, you would know that there's one more feature which makes it Vesara, which is called the stellate plan, which is not mentioned here. But the Hoysaleshwara temple in Helibet, you have what is called the stellate plan. Hoysaleshwara temple. Stellate plan is that you have 5 deities on the 5 sides. It looks like a star shaped in that regard. And so I hope that now you get it why the first statement is incorrect and the second statement is correct. And yes, Kasipeda was in the news recently vis-a-vis Telangana. It's a site which has yielded a lot of different caves and structures. One cave set tells us that basically it is Mesolithic period wherein we have Mesolithic art also. But we also have what we call as proper burial structures, very elaborate burial structures, which makes it more closer to the megalithic phase. Megalithic means big rock, the Iron Age of South India or the peninsular sector. So therefore, Kasipeta has been in the news. Please remember these names. The first two, along with Hoysaleshwara temple, together called the Hoysala art assemblage, has already been added to the UNESCO nominated list, which is called the tentative list. Now we have said that we are nominating it again further for the consideration for 2022-23. So just to refresh your memory again, there's a 3-step process to getting UNESCO World Heritage Tag. First, a country nominates it, then it goes into the tentative list, and thereafter it goes into the representative list. When it says representative list means that it has been given that concept itself. So very simply, the tentative list already they are there. Chennakeshwara, Kesava and the Hoysaleshwara temple. And we'll discuss later, you will see another important what we call as structure which has been now been nominated. So the UNESCO once nominated by a state adds it to the tentative list. Once in tentative means that it is under consideration under UNESCO, but it is not getting that tag. It is only when it goes into representative list that it gets the tag itself. So very interesting question based on 3-4 important concepts. This is very realistic, very straightforward representative type of questions in that regard. And again, the endeavor here is to refresh your memory also and also give you the basic point. And check if you're able to eliminate or not. So I hope question number 4 is totally correct. We can move to the next set. Is there any doubt with regards to this question? No? Perfect. Great. So let's look at the 5th question. It is a sun temple which was constructed by Lalitaditya of the Kakrota dynasty. It is an example of Kashmiri architecture built in Greek pattern. It is the only 3-chambered temple in Kashmir. Which of the above statements or the above given statement describes which of the following temples the best? You have the Bharmanya temple, the Katkatmal Sun temple, the Martand temple or the Dakshinika temple. Come on. This is an easy question. If you know your current affairs, you can get it easily in that regard. Very good. 90%. 90% going towards C. I'll discuss ARS, what is the 3 chambers, don't worry about that. This is an easy question, great. So we can see 80-81% of you have totally clear. We can end the poll here because mostly you know this. See, the answer to this question is the Martand temple. The Martand temple was recently in the news, 82% of you got it correct also. Because basically it's a very important sun temple which was constructed by Lalitaditya of the Kakrota dynasty. But recently a very important puja was done after 30 years. So what is common to all the options is that basically all of them are sun temples only. But the Martand temple is the one which is based in Kashmir. So the Navgraha Ashtamangala Puja was done at the Martand Temple. There was a lot of controversy also with regards to that. And this temple, which is now in ruins, however, was built by Lalitaditya of the Kakrota dynasty between 1724 to 1761. He is the one who built it. And people place it in between 1730s, we believe that it was made. Rather 730 rather, not 1730, 730. So 724 to 761 is the period. 730 we believe that it was made. Now it's a very beautiful sun temple and it has two very distinguishing features. Very, very distinguishing features. That first, it is a proper Kashmir style architecture wherein it has 3 chambers only. What does it mean that it has 3 chambers? Basically, if you've seen a basic temple structure, you would know that you have 4 basic concepts. You have Ardha Mandap, you have Mandap, and thereafter you have the Garbhagriha. You have the Garbhagriha, and in between the Garbhagriha and the Mandap, you have what is called the Antartala. So basically, this whole structure has a very important feature that there is no Ardha Mandap itself. It starts with the Mandap, then you have the Antartala, and then you have the what we call as Garbhagriha. These are the 3 changes, no Ardha Mandap in that regard. And why is it considered equally important is because the way it was made with these arcaded passages, it has a major influence of what is called Gandhara style. So the structure generally, there is a lot of sculpture which is made all across the temple. And this sculpture basically represents Gandhara style of school when we talk about architecture and generally when we talk about art. So it's a mixture of the Kashmiri style, which is having a very, very high platform, and this is the only temple which does not have an mandap. The mandap has been destroyed, but the Antartala and the Garbhagriha has survived. Over and above that, the sculptures have a very distinct finish of Gandhara school of art. So please remember it, Gandhara is not specifically Indo-Greek. Gandhara school is going to persist from the Indo-Greek period till the Kushana period itself. So the basic point of the matter is it is a very beautiful mixture of 2 major architectural forms, which is the Kashmiri style, specifically no Ardha Mandap. Further, the concept of the arcaded pillared concept. When you have this concept of pillars and then what is called a tributate structure, this is also a very standard thing which we find in what we call as Greek buildings. So it takes a lot of concepts from the Greek buildings also, and it is also a very good example of what we call as the Kashmiri architecture. So I hope that this question, most of you got it, very, very good, which means that you're doing your basic current affairs for sure. Now, we'll have these 3 type of questions itself. Some will be extremely factual, some will be application based, and let's see which is the one which you're able to answer more, because application based is what is going to actually come in the examination more than what is coming right now. So now let's move to the 6th question. With reference to the Convention for Safeguarding of Intangible Cultural Heritage, which was recently in the news, let's consider the following statements. India has been elected to this convention for the first time. It works for the safeguard of intangible cultural heritage and provides for international cooperation and assistance. Which of the statements are correct? 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, or neither 1 nor 2. So let's see the basic pattern here. A 2%, 71%, B 29%, C, D 1%. So people are going towards B more, which is 2 only, which again is good, very, very good. So I'll give it 5 more seconds. I want everybody to answer. Come on, everybody should vote. You can go into the chat section and vote and give me your answer generally. This way you can practice as we go on. Okay. So we can end the poll now. More or less the pattern is clear, which is 72% B, 24 to 1. Yes, very good. Very, very good. See, second statement is correct, but this first statement is incorrect. How? See, there's something called the committee or the Intergovernmental Committee for the 2003 Convention for Safeguarding Intangible Cultural Heritage. Basically, it takes member states from the UN itself, And India has been elected recently for not the first time, but the third time. India has previously been elected. This is the third time we are getting elected. Therefore, for the 2022-26 cycle, we already had been elected twice. This is the third time. So it takes 24 member states through the concept of equitable geographical representation from the UN itself. And the name itself should imply and automatically tell you that the second statement is correct, wherein it says safeguarding of intangible cultural heritage. Intangible cultural heritage. So the second statement says safeguarding of intangible cultural heritage. So it's a second statement is easy, but you can become complacent by looking just at the second statement. But the answer is 2 only. 1 is incorrect. Now, very simply, what is intangible heritage? Just to refresh your memory, the basic point of the matter is there are 2 types of what we call cultural expression: tangible, intangible. Anything which is in the monument form, which has physical form, is called tangible. On the other hand, something which is skill based or something which does not have a proper form in that regard is called intangible. So intangible could be culture, could be skill, could be a community, could be people, could be anything, could be a dance, could be anything. On the other hand, monument sites go into tangible heritage or the World Heritage List in that regard. So tangible can be touched, intangible is a skill, cannot be touched. So the words which are coming out of my mouth are intangible in form, but what is written on your screen can be touched, that is a tangible form in that regard. So the concept is very straightforward, easy question, but a very specific thing needs to be known, which is it is not the first time, but the third time India has got elected to this committee. Safeguards intangible cultural heritage, talks about recognition, talks about international cooperation, gives assistance if needed, and India's entry into it is going to be very significant also, because we as a culturally diverse country and very culturally rich country, we needed to be in this committee so that we can represent and also safeguard our intangible cultural heritage. So easy question if you know the basic idea itself, right? Can we move to the next question? 6th question, easy. It's a fairly easy question in that regard. Okay. Now, this is a pure, what we call as factual question. If you know it, good. If you don't know it, not an issue. Consider the following statements. Toda embroidery, Tamil Nadu. Himru weaves, Hyderabad. Kumbi weaves, Goa. The Garad Korel, West Bengal. Which of the pairs is correctly matched? Come on. 1 pair, 2 pair, all pair, none of the pairs. This I know you will have a very mixed bunch, because it's out of a very important report which has come from the UNESCO, and most probably you are going to in a way think that it can't be that UPSC can ask this type of question. So we'll mix it up in that regard. So B is around 56%, 2 pair. So it's going to be a mixed bag in that regard. Dharmendra Shah, very good, caught it. If you skip it, Sandhya, good. In these type of questions, if you don't take a negative, it's a good thing. It's actually a good thing. If you don't take a negative, great. If you know it, very, very well. Okay. So what is the basic pattern here? 56% are towards B. Okay. Now we can end the poll. Basically, yes. You skip it, but why skip it when we are discussing it here? 55, 20, 28% are totally correct. All pairs are again matched correctly here. All of them. And this question was never to check your knowledge. It was to tell you something. It was to tell you something. So what is the context? The context is that there's a report which came from the UNESCO which is called Handmade for the 21st Century, Safeguarding Traditional Indian Textiles. And it gave a list of 50 very important heritage forms in India, or what we call as textile forms in India. However, the most iconic which were referred to in it, I'm giving you the basic list here. Now, again, there are 2 things which you can do with this list. First, learn it by heart, or learn it after you've done everything. The basic point is, I am giving you this list for your reference, so that you don't have to go anywhere else. Just look at it from time to time. So it's not very easy to learn this list, but very simply, the basic point of the matter is the report has mentioned very specific things, and we will go with that specific concept itself. So you have the Banjara embroidery, which comes from Karnataka. I'll just read it out to you, just to give you certain idea. Then you have the Kalamkari from Thanjavur, Toda embroidery from Tamil Nadu, Himru weaves from Hyderabad. I know that Himru weaves is also linked to Maharashtra, but actually it is specific reference to Hyderabad in that regard. Thereafter, you have the Bandha tie and dye weaving, which comes from Odisha, Khas from Panipat, Chamba rumals from Himachal Pradesh, the wool tie and dye from Ladakh, the Awadh Jamdani from the Varanasi sector, Kumbhi weaves from Goa, and thereafter you have the Patola, which we'll discuss later, also from Gujarat, and the Garad corals from West Bengal. Again, I don't expect you to remember this whole list, but I'm giving it to you here. You can just once go through this before the examination, will help you generally. These type of questions do come in the examination, and it is something which UPSC does ask. It is not that it is not a representative question. These type of questions do come. So understand this very, very clearly. We have one more question after this also, which is again a very representative type of question, which comes and which has been coming for the past 5 to 6 years. One question like this has been coming for sure. So question number 7 was not to test you, but was to check you, or actually give you the basic idea that there is a report which was in the news, and these are the ones which are referred in very, very straightforward fashion in that regard. So just go through it once and it should be enough. Now let's move to this one. This is the more interesting one. This is more representative than the last one. Consider the following pairs. You have Otang Thulal, which is Tamil Nadu, Sagol Kenjei, Mizoram, Bali Yatra, Odisha, Matani Pachedi, West Bengal. Which is correctly matched? Now, come on. Okay. One pair, two pair, all pairs, none of the pairs. B 71%, 73%, which is going to two pairs. Skip, Vicky says skip. Then this is based on 3 basic articles, very, very simple articles. Why skip it? Why skip it? We are going more towards B only. We are going more towards B only. Okay, we can end the poll here because answer is not B. Answer is actually not B. Yes, very good, Divya. Divya's got the answer is actually A. One pair only. In this, the only one which is correctly matched is which one? It's not two pair, it's one pair. Is which statement? 1, 2, 3, 4. Very good. It is actually 3, which is Bali Yatra. Bali Yatra is actually from Odisha. Yes, perfectly clear. What is the context of this question? Bali Yatra was in the news. It's a very important festival which basically celebrates when the merchants from Odisha used to travel to Bali, literally Bali Indonesian sector, and that is why Bali Yatra. Now, the Otang Thulal does not come from Tamil Nadu, but comes from Kerala. On the other hand, Matani Pachedi I will discuss, very important because it is linked to what our Prime Minister gave in the G20 summit in Indonesia. Very, very important. This is again Gujarat. And Sagol Kenjai is not Mizoram. Which state is it? It's not Mizoram. Very good. It is Manipur. It is Manipur. So the context is that these are actually 4 articles, 4 current affairs asked in one question itself. Otang Thulal, this is the art form which comes from Kerala. Basically, this art form is becoming more and more obscure, and vis-a-vis Kathakali, Mohiniyattam being there, this is not being celebrated quite a lot. There are only very less practitioners. It's an intangible heritage which is going extinct in that regard. Further, the Sagol Kenjai is actually related to, it is considered the originator of modern polo. Modern polo. So modern polo game, which is a European concept, the original form is actually Sagol Khwanjai, and the Manipuri pony which is used is a very iconic animal for this sector itself. And now comes the most important discussion we need to have, which is Mata Ni Pachedi. See, Prime Minister Modi, when he went to Indonesia for the G20 summit before we got presidency, he gave every different major world leader certain things as gifts. So Joe Biden got the Kangra miniature painting from Himachal Pradesh. Rishi Sunak got Mata Ni Pachedi, which is coming from Gujarat. Further, you have Pithora tribal art form, which comes from the Chota Udaipur sector, again from Gujarat itself. Then you have the agate bowls, which were given to France, Germany and Singapore. And last but not the least, Patan Patola was given to Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. Now, just to give you a basic visual reference of these, so that you can remember it for the examination generally, this is Kangra painting, which is given to the US President itself. This is what was asked in this question, Mata Ni Pachedi, very beautiful form of tie and dye which comes from Gujarat itself, very beautiful form in that regard, very well represented, very vibrant colors, very beautiful form in that sense. Further, this is called Pithora. This is called Pithora art which was given to the Australian leader itself, coming out of Gujarat itself. This is the Pithora tribal art in that regard. And further, this is called agate bowls, and this is called Patan Patola. Patan Patola was given, and this was in the news, comes from again Gujarat itself, is basically, except for, and there's a catch here, except for the first one, which is Kangra, all are Gujarat only. All are Gujarat. So you can remember it like this, that everything except for Kangra miniature painting was actually from Gujarat. So how to remember this, Anita? I'm telling you, the trick is not to learn each of them. Is basically learning the fact that except for the Kangra itself, it is in the Himachal Pradesh sector, all of them are Gujarat in that regard. It's a very straightforward concept. So this is the only one which comes out, which is not in Gujarat in that regard. Thereafter, everything else is in Gujarat. So I hope that giving you this visual reference, you can basically, Chota Udaipur is not in Rajasthan, it's actually in Gujarat. So very simply, I hope this helps you give a certain type of understanding in that regard. Because visual referencing helps. And that is the way we actually learn art and culture. Art and culture, if learned through words, makes no sense. So very simply, you need to learn in a way, through visual referencing, it gives you a better understanding in that regard. Right? So everybody's clear about this question? A difficult one. Don't try to skip these type of questions. You just need to have basic understanding. That's it. All of them have been in the news quite a lot. And if you're doing this question, this session with me, then why skip in the exam? There is a chance that any of this can come in the examination. 1% chance. Just pay attention here. As it is, the work is done in that regard. Okay. Now, next question. The Charadeo Maidams is a burial mound tradition of the Thai Ahom community in Assam. Mandala art first appeared in the Vedas, and through the Buddhist missionaries, it was taken outside Indian subcontinent or India in that sense. So, which of the statements are correct? One only, two only, both one and two, or neither one nor two? Okay, the poll is coming to you. 1 second, no issues. Just creating the poll. Okay, perfect. Should be in front of you now. This is an easy question. Very easy question if you know basic current affairs in that regard. Very good. Already everybody is answering. Great. See, 89%. Hovering in the 80s, very good, which means 83, 84, very good. So more or less, you know this for sure. Which is yes, great. We can end the poll here. 80% of you are totally correct. Great. Wherein This is the catch, 81 for 1430. Both statements are correct here. Both statements are correct. The Charadeo Maidans is a burial mound tradition of the Thai Ahom community of Assam. Yes. This is where our UNESCO World Heritage comes in again. This is the Charadeo Maidans, very beautiful burial tradition which comes out of Assam itself, wherein this is actually in a way not inspired by the stupa, but represents or is very similar to a stupa, wherein there's a burial mound which has two chambers. So this is hollow from inside. It has two chambers topped by this very beautiful pavilion. You can enter it. Two chambers are going to be there. And this is our official nominated, what we call as heritage for the UNESCO World Heritage for 2022-23. So for 2022-23, we have a new nomination, which is the Charodeo Maidans in Assam. And we have three nominations together called the Sacred Assemblage of Hoysala Art. And that is basically the already in the tentative list. So you have one which got nominated and you have one which was in the tentative list. So now we have nominated it and it should be added to the tentative list in that regard. So the first statement is totally correct. It is linked to the Ahom community and Assam. Close to 300 plus such structures are there, but 86 related to the royals. The royal Ahom dynasty is actually very, very beautifully preserved also. Further, mandala art appeared in Vedas through the Buddhist missionaries, went outside India, yes. Mandala art, which basically is, mandala itself means in Sanskrit what we call as circle. It represents the cosmos or the universe in that regard. A lot of you may be practicing it also. Mandala art basically, the current affairs context is that in Liverpool there was a whole park which was very well represented and very beautifully what we call as decorated with mandala art in that regard. But mandala art first reference we find in the Vedas. Thereafter the Buddhist tradition appropriates it and then it goes outside India through the Silk route. And now it is very common in Japan, China, in Southeast Asia, even as far as in the European sector. So yes, both statements are totally correct and very important current affairs. Charadeo Maidans and the ones which we discussed, the Chennakeshwara temple, the Kesava temple and Hoysaleshwara temple, very important, nominated for this examination. This is going to be the case itself. And mandala art, we have discussion vis-a-vis the Vedas and Buddhist missionaries in that sense, taking it outside India. This, all of you got it because again, very standard current affairs was in every major what we call as source itself. But when I'll move to the last set of questions, which is 20 to 25, then it is going to become like rapid fire. We'll see if you know that very obscure concept itself or not. So the questions here are much more theoretical, but as we move towards the end, we will get very straightforward standard questions. And those are not in the standard sources. So do wait for those questions. 20 to 25, last 10 are like that only. Very straightforward, very factual and not in standard sources. So remember that. Okay. Let's take question number 10. Consider the following statements. The Sun Temple of Modhera has become the first heritage site in India to be powered solely by solar energy. It was built by the Kakatiya king Bhimadeva I and is located on the left bank of the river Pushpavati. Which of the statements are incorrect? Read it clearly. Incorrect. Which is incorrect? There is one statement which is either incorrect or none of the statements are incorrect. Which statement is incorrect? Come on. Again, very easy question because it was there. This is considered, we discuss it in class also. It is a standard model of something which we discussed generally. Very good. Ujjwal, that's a very good way of approaching it. Very good. Great. So B 51%, we are hovering around it. 51%, A 20%, 12. So everybody, most of you, half of you are arguing that B is the incorrect statement here. One only, both 1 and 2, neither 1 and 2 are 12, 18, 12. Okay. So we can end the poll here. And please do become a part of it through the poll. Yes. Which is the incorrect statement here? Very easy. the Modhera village itself and Sun Temple Modhera, it was in the news because it has become the first village itself to be powered solely by solar power. And as it is, we do Modhera when we talk about very Nagara style. And no, it is not related to the Kakatiyas. There are two ways to think about it. First is that we know that Modhera is based in Gujarat, therefore it has nothing to do with Kakatiyas. Kakatiyas are from Warangal sector, which is peninsular India. Or you know that Bhimadeva I is a Solanki ruler. Solanki ruler sometimes also refers as the Western Chalukyas, because later Solanki rulers are also called Chalukyas in that regard. So here the second statement is incorrect, so the answer becomes 2 only. So Kakatiyas is the catch. Kakatiyas is the catch. Kakatiyas are from the Warangal sector, nothing to do with this Western sector itself, and therefore remember Modhera with Modhera village and Modhera Sun Temple Modhera, whole complex is actually powered by the solar power. Very simple, very straightforward, very, very good question. Again, beautifully represented through these two statements. Checks if you are reading closely enough or not. Because a lot of students become very, yes, Pushpavati is right. Students become very, very excited when they know the question. And that is where blunders happen or silly mistakes happen. So you have to, till the end, read it very closely. This is totally clear. Pushpavati river is clear, totally clear. Okay. Let's talk about the next question. Very easy question if you again have a basic understanding. Let's look at it. With reference to the Pashmina shawls, which were recently in the news, consider the following statements. Pashmina is obtained from breeds of the Tibetan antelope, found mainly in the northern parts of the plateau in Tibet and parts of Ladakh. Shatush is a fine fiber obtained from the mountain goats, found in the Changtang plateau. Which of the statements are correct? Come on, everybody. Very good, Priya. Perfect. So, Kanya, great. So, Hasni, Mani, great. So, you are saying which is correct. 44% are saying it is both statements are correct. And 29% are saying both statements are not correct. 21% are saying only second statement is correct. And 11% are saying only first statement is correct. I want you to answer. I want you to think about it. Because 42% of you read both the statements very clearly and very closely, because somehow your friends, either 16% or 32% or 9% are actually thinking in the right way. So think of it. Think of it. Come on, everybody has to answer. Come on, come on, come on. I'm giving you another 5 seconds. Everybody should be there. Very good, Amruta. Yes, most of you got the catch, but still some of you are caught up in that. Right. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. C. D is the correct answer, not C. 32% are totally correct. What has happened is the statements are reversed. These statements are actually reversed. See, Pashmina shawls were in the news. The context is, again, I'm giving you the current affairs. Pay attention. The current affairs aspect is Pashmina was in the news because of the fact that Pashmina shawls are now getting what we call as confiscated because of the fact that they are now showing false positive to Shatush. That is why the concept is there. Shatush and Pashmina are two types of shawls which are there, which comes from a fiber basically based on a certain type of species which comes from the same sector also. Now understand this, 6 lakh artisans are suffering because a lot of consignments are not able to go to Europe, and we are only 3% of the supplier, but the best Pashmina goes from India in that regard. But now we are showing false positives for Shatush. Shatush is banned, Pashmina is allowed. And why is it banned? Because Pashmina is obtained from mountain goats found in the Changtang plateau, or the what we call as the Ladakh sector. Rather, this part is also clear, plateaus of Tibet and Ladakh. On the other hand, Shatush comes from the Tibetan antelope, also called Chiru, which is an endangered species. And basically, Chiru is called the Tibetan antelope. On the other hand, the Pashmina comes from the mountain goats itself. So the Pashmina shawl comes from the mountain goats, which is allowed. However, what is happening is that there's a very fine difference between shatush and pashmina. And what is happening is that under cities, which is the convention which does not allow for what endangered trade in what we call as animals and flora and fauna generally, cities has banned using the Tibetan antelope's fur. So the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wildlife, Flora and Fauna, the Tibetan antelope is the shatush shawl which is created through the fur of this animal is not allowed. So what is happening is our Pashmina traders have to prove that it is not shatush but it is Pashmina. And what they use is microscopic study which is not that advanced. So the first and foremost point is, please know this and understand this. Pashmina is mountain goat, shatush is Tibetan antelope, Pashmina is allowed, shatush isn't. Further, understand one thing, under cities, it is not allowed to trade in shatush. Our traders are suffering because our custom department are not able to differentiate between Pashmina and shatush quite a lot. Therefore, they're thinking it is made out of chiru or the Tibetan antelope, but it isn't. It is rather made out of mountain goats. So this sector is now actually suffering quite a lot. It is suffering quite a lot, and therefore, the Pashmina shawls have been in the news quite a lot recently because multiple articles have come in the Hindu newspaper flagging the concept that an endangered species such as chiru is now creating a problem for the Pashmina sector itself. So I hope that you are now going to remember Pashmina shawls, very beautiful shawls coming out of the Kashmir sector, Jammu and Kashmir sector, very well, along with Ladakh in that regard, very, very expensive, one of the best produced in India in that regard, and comes from the mountain goat and not the chiru or Tibetan antelope. Please pay attention. Further, when you will do your environment, pay a lot of attention to now chiru and Tibetan antelope because it has been in the news also quite a lot. So this question is an application of both. This is how history and environment intersect together. That is the way these two questions have come together in that regard, wherein we need to know that how something gets eliminated or something gets stuck in the custom sector. And the way out is that we need better what we call as equipment to understand what is shatush and what is Pashmina. Pashmina shawl in the news quite a lot in that regard. So question number 11, I hope you get the beauty of that question, how it's just check, you know it, but it's trying to confuse you in that regard. It's confusing you by giving you the simple concept of reversing the concept. And what is reversed also is the place. Basically, mountain goats are found in Tibetan plateau and parts of Ladakh. Chiru is found in the Changtang plateau. So this is also this is also this. So there are two things which have been reversed in that regard. Okay. Question number 12. With reference to Shumang Lila, consider the following statements. It is a traditional theatre from Nagaland which spreads awareness of social, political and economic issues. The Nupu Shumang Lila, all roles of women are played by men. Which of the statements are correct? 1, 2, both 1 and 2 and 1 not 2. Come on. Nupa Shumang Lila, all roles of women played by men, and talks about the concept of a traditional theatre from Nagaland, spreading awareness of social, political and economic issues. Come on, everybody has to answer. Very good, perfect. Everyone is going to answer. I'm going to give you 5 to 10 seconds. So B is going for 51% right now. Fastest fingers first. B is 51%. A is 12%, C is 33%, D is 5%. So we can wait for 5 more seconds. The same number of students should be able to answer. Close to 370 if you have voted by this point of time. Come on. Okay, we can end the poll here. The half of you are totally correct. The second statement is the correct one. The first statement you have to pay attention. That's it. Shumang Lila was in the news. It does not come from Nagaland. Manipur. It comes from Manipur. And it's a traditional theatre form which comes from Manipur. It also does awareness about social and political and economic crisis. There was one very big article which was there in Hindu newspaper about this. And what is there is that it has two forms. The Nupa Shumang Lila, the Nupi Shumang Lila. In Nupa Shumang Lila, all the roles are done by men, be it woman, be it anything. So, be it man, woman, everything is done by men. And in Nupi, it is all the women performing all men's role itself. So, you have Nupa, which is all roles by men. Nupi is all roles by women. So, understand this, pay attention to this. You have Nupa and Nupi. If it is Nupa, then it is basically men. Nupi when it is women. So, the first statement, everything is correct except for the fact it has come from Manipur. Second statement, as I said, is Nupi or Nupa, it matters. Nupa is when, yes, men perform all the roles, be it any of the roles. So, second statement is totally correct. First statement is incorrect. Therefore, the answer is B. So, I hope till this point, everybody is getting the feel of the questions and getting the point of the questions. I am giving you the current affairs part also. I am telling you how to approach this question also. And we are revising also. This is the basic point. We have to revise before the examination. And that is the basic purpose here. Okay, so with this, let's move to the 13th question. Now again, three statement question, which is correct or not. Okay. The Domakanda Fort received the UNESCO Asia Pacific Awards for Cultural Heritage Conservation 2022. The Karakattam is a traditional folk music tradition from Tamil Nadu. The Bhutokala is an annual ritual performance from the Tulu-speaking belt of Karnataka. Which of the statements are correct? How many pair? One statement, two statement, three statement, or none of the statements? How many are correct? Come on. Nupa is women, Nupa is men, Nupi is women. Come on. One statement is correct, two statement is correct, three statement is correct, or none of the statements are correct. Come on, come on, come on. Everybody has to answer. %8 A, 61% B, 28% C, 1% D. So we are going with two statements. Very good. Reading very closely. Good, good, good. Okay. We can end the poll here. Now the more important question is, okay, yes, two statements are correct. Which statement is incorrect here? 1, 2 or 3? Very good. Yes, most of you have got it. This statement is incorrect. Now let's discuss this concept. Domakanda Fort and Qutub Shahi Baulis have got the UNESCO Asia Pacific Award for Cultural Heritage Conservation, coming both from Telangana in that regard. Bhutokala, if you know the Kantara movie, in which it is referred to as Kola, the whole name is Bhutokola. And the Kantara movie actually represents this art form coming out of Karnataka, wherein the performer embodies the deity, the what we call as forest deities in that regard. And the second statement, it comes out of Tamil Nadu only, the Karkatam. But it is actually not a music form, but it's actually a dance form. And very simply, you have Bhutokala, very well represented in the movie, but you have another rendition of that in that regard. But Karkatam is a traditional folk dance coming out of Tamil Nadu, in which you have a woman who basically keeps the pot on her head. It's about balancing the karkam, which is the pot itself, and therefore, very simply, a very beautiful, also called Kargatam. Remember, Karkatam, Gargatam, both are correct. The simple point is, it's a very beautiful tradition coming out of Tamil Nadu. So, it's not just an art form, it's a skill Because she's dancing with the pot on her head. So very simply, Domakanda Fort, Qutub Shahi, this is the first current affairs, 3 current affairs together in one question. Domakanda Fort, and you have the concept of the Qutub Shahi Baoli. Both did get awards, UNESCO Asia Pacific Awards for Culture Heritage Conservation, which is they were preserved very well. On the other hand, Bhutokola, Kantara movie, Tulu speaking belt of Karnataka, totally correct. And Kargatam comes out of the Tamil Nadu sector, but it is a dance tradition, not a music tradition. One of you actually pointed out a very good thing, which is that Attam is written. So Attam basically would give you an understanding it is not music, it is dance, or it would be puppetry, it could be anything, it would not be music because of the word Attam. That's a very good way of actually also approaching it in that regard. Okay. So this question again, 3 current affairs inbuilt into it. I hope all 3 are clear. Folk dance from Tamil Nadu, Domakanda Fort and Qutub Shahi forts or Qutub Shahi Baolis and Bhutokola. Right? 3 statements, all 3 correct, all 3 clear in that regard. Yes? Okay, perfect. Now let's move to the 14th question. 25 questions are there. Consider the following statements with reference to Rogan paintings. It is a form of cloth painting that is practiced only by a single family in the Kutch region of Gujarat. Geometrical motifs are preferred in this art form. Which of the statements are correct? Okay, come on. Very easy question. Again, if you've been following our basic current affairs in that regard. Basic current affairs. But what I want to see is how you are going to overthink it. And I can predict there will be 2 options in which students are going to get confused. And very simply, it's going to be based on overthinking. So you have 47% for C, and some are saying A, B, C. So we are caught up between B and C. I told you 2 options everybody is going to get caught up into, B or C, and the one of the options basically you are very simply overthinking. You are overthinking in that regard because it has a extreme statement, so therefore you are trying to go with it. So okay, A 6%, B 45%, C 46%. It's neck and neck between B and C. Very good. 3% D. So we can end the poll here at 45. Beautiful. Very good. Very good. 45 divided equally in that regard. That is it B or is it C? See, here both statements are correct. And the context is, see, the Prime Minister gave the Rogan painting to the Japanese Prime Minister recently, and it comes out of the Gujarat sector, Kutch sector itself, though it was practiced by a lot of different families previously in the 300 to 400 years of its history. However, there's only now one single family in the Nirona district or the Nirona village of Kutch district in Gujarat. And Rogan basically means in Persian the oil, and it has very beautiful what we call as boiled oil and vegetable dyes. This is Rogan art for you. So very simply, the catch here was a lot of you, I can guarantee to you, either you caught this or you caught this. You're like, how can it be that only one family is doing everything? That can't be. But that is the unfortunate truth of India, wherein a lot of our intangible form of art is actually being done by single families, single long traditions of what we call as either villages or even families. Here it's only one family which makes it. So here what did you do? This is called overthinking. So what you did was that you went with the concept that it is only extreme statement, caught it, but you did not trust your own current affairs when it came to Rogan painting in that regard. please don't sometimes do this in the examination, which is that UPSC a lot of times also gives extreme statements which are true. So very simply, sometimes trust your understanding. Trust your understanding and trust your ability to answer. Because overthinking is a disease. If starts to spread too much, then is going to actually make you do silly mistakes quite a lot. Silly mistakes happen when you start to question yourself in the examination itself. Don't do that. Very simply, don't do what you've done here, which is look at the only ho hi sakta. It can't be only. No, it can be. It can be. It can be. Sometimes these statements are correct also. Right? Can we move to the next question? You get the concept of Rogan painting, the context of the Japanese Prime Minister, Quad meeting, and comes from the single family. Please remember this point very, very clearly. Okay. Now this everybody should get. It's a static question which was in current affairs. Pattachitra painting, which was recently in the news, belongs to which state? Gujarat, Maharashtra, Himachal Pradesh or Odisha? Come on. This is very, 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 very easy. It's a proper static question. 100%, then 89%, 83%. Now you're overthinking. 84%. Very easy. It's an easy question, but it's a proper question. Again, Krishna, don't overthink about it. The current affairs context is not for West Bengal. It's not for West Bengal. As it is, West Bengal is not in the option. Then why are you overthinking? It would have been confusing. It was there. West Bengal was there. When West Bengal is not there only, then why are you overthinking? Don't do that. Don't do that. Very specifically, the options are telling you about one state. Then why are you mixing it up in your mind? Okay, this is there, that is not there. When it's two states, even if one state is mentioned, it is considered correct. Okay, come on, last 5 seconds. Yes, if there was in the examination, then it would be problematic. Okay, 10, 10, 6, 73. Great. Okay, so yes, it comes from Odisha. Pattachitra was in the news for a very specific thing. The Odisha CM has given the Pattachitra painting to Pope Francis when he visited the Odisha sector. And it is a very beautiful tradition which comes out of Odisha. It's unique. This type of painting is unique to Odisha, but we have a modified form in the Bengal sector also, but that is not the one which has the GI tag also. This is the one which has GI tag. So very simply, the cloth is based on the scroll painting which is very common in the Odisha sector, originated in the 12th century, and it's made on a sacred, very special canvas on a cotton sari, layered with tamarind, what is called tamarind, the haldi paste, and then coated with clay powder. So it's a very specific thing to the Jagannath temple itself, and very beautiful, intricate tradition coming out of Odisha. So please understand one thing. Some of you were overthinking here again. If I had given you West Bengal and Odisha, then it would be a problem. But when I have not given you that option, then why are you mixing it up? Why are you mixing it up? So, tamarind, I know imli, but there is a application of both haldi, imli and clay powder. So very simply, the concept is that Odisha CM, Pattachitra, Pope Francis comes from Odisha. Are we clear about this? Pattachitra, straightforward. You don't have to learn what is being layered with, but there's a proper sacred process. You have the tamarind paste, then you have the turmeric paste, then you also have the clay powder which is put in. Yes? Okay. Yes. I know what is tamarind and turmeric. Don't worry about that. Okay. Now this is an interesting, important question. Consider the following temples. The Sri Salam temple in Andhra Pradesh, the Bhadrachalam in Telangana, the Rudreshwar temple in Telangana. What is common to the above temples? They all are UNESCO World Heritage Sites. They all come under the Prasad scheme. they are rock cut architecture based temples, or all three are Nagara style temples? Come on, everybody. You can, not even knowing the current affairs aspect, you can come to the answer. Very easy question that way, because the options are made in that way. So we have 62% who are talking about B, 60% B, 20% are arguing the rock cut architecture, 15% are arguing that it is Nagara style. So 9% are also saying that all of them are UNESCO World Heritage Sites, but it's mostly 58% B. Okay, I'll give you another 5 to 10 seconds. Come on. D, Nagara style temple. Okay, let's end the poll here. See, 59% were totally correct. All come under Prasad scheme. Recently, the president inaugurated the Sri Salem temple, the Prasad scheme itself, and Bhadrachalam and Rudreshwar temple have been added. The foundation stone have been added. But I didn't know the current affairs only. I did not know the current affairs only. Now let me use my basic understanding of art and culture. If it says temple, and that to Telangana sector, there is only one tradition of rock cut architecture temples, which is in Mahabalipuram. So this can't be, because mostly temples made in this sector are what are called brick structural temples. Second, if it is Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, it cannot be Nagara style, because Telangana would be Vesara style. So you have Pallava style, in which you have rock cut temples. You have Vesara style, which is common in this peninsula sector. So therefore, if you answered A and B, I understand. But if you are answering C and D, then there's a problem in your understanding. You understand C. Sometimes you never need to know the current affairs. This question can be solved without even knowing the current affairs concept. The simple point of the matter is that rock cut architecture is specific to what is Mauryan, cave architecture, even Pallava. Pallava is the last period in Dravida style, or the Pallavan style in that regard, where we get what we call as Mahabalipuram, the Panch Rathas in that regard, and the rock cut temples. However, Nagara style should automatically get eliminated. So if you're answering A, then you should also understand one thing, that then you are presuming that all of them are UNESCO World Heritage Sites. How did I check that? See, this is nothing but the name of the Ramappa temple. This is added with Dholavira. But Bhadrachalam and Andhra Pradesh, the Sri Salem temple, are not in the UNESCO World Heritage Site. So very simply, trust your basic understanding. It's not extraordinary question. It's not a very difficult question, because the options are made in such a way that you can actually come to the answer itself. Though generally, President inaugurated the Sri Salem temple in Andhra Pradesh, Prasad scheme, and further Bhadrachalam and the Rudreshwar temple have been added under the Prasad scheme. Sometimes Prasad is written like this, sometimes also written like this, without the H. That is why I am also checking if you know the scheme in that regard. Somewhere it will be Prasad, it will be Prasad. Both are correct, totally that way. Okay. Question number 17. Can we talk about question number 17? Are you getting the point? Yes? Okay. Now, with reference to the new naval ensign or insignia or the flag, consider the following statements. The old ensign carried the St. George's cross with the tricolor in the top right corner of the flag. The new ensign bears the seal of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj in blue octagonal shape. Which of the statements are correct? Come on, everybody has to answer. It is not just a question of how you read, but how visual referencing is very, very important. How visual referencing is very, very important. Everybody has to answer. Come on. I'm pushing the poll to you now. One second. Poll is coming. Don't worry. YouTube is finicky sometimes. Okay. Should be now in front of you now. Everybody answers. C, 81%. Beautiful, beautiful. 9%, 16%, 74%. A, B, C, 7, 16, 74. C, 75%. Very good. Very good. Vishnu, you've got it correct. Perfect. So, very simply, if I stop the poll right now, and if you don't look at the way students are writing what they're writing, stop the poll. You have 75% who have argued that it is both statements are correct. Now for one moment, just with me, imagine a flag with me. What does it say? That you have the St. George cross along with the tricolor, which is the Indian flag. In the top right corner, it is here that we have it. Is it correct? Do we write in the top right corner or the left corner? Left corner, not right. This is the catch, that when you look at something in the newspaper, do you pay attention? Do you pay attention? So it's not on the right, it's not here. It's not here, it's here. So visual referencing. This is why this question is important. Yes, it is based on Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj's very beautiful insignia or ensign itself. The new flag has now become more or less free of its colonial origin, because the way the St. George cross was used, it was basically British origin. But the basic point is, I didn't care about the answer. I stopped at 75% for the same reason, because all of you answered B. No, it's C. 2 only. This is why sometimes art and culture is about everyday form of living. That whatever you see around you, if you are able to understand it, apply it. You read it till here, you were like, perfect. Yes, St. George's Cross. Top right was written. Getting my point? Why sometimes it's not just looking at the reading. It's sometimes the visual is also important. So next time, before you revise for the examination, go for the examination in that regard. Please pay attention to the fact that you also have to look at certain things. Look at certain things that will give you half of the knowledge itself. This is what we do in class. This is what I've always been pushing. If you do architecture just randomly by the book, nothing will make sense to you. Do architecture through images. That will give you a certain image in your mind. Right. Yes, this is what is called, this was total overconfidence, proper overconfidence. Very beautiful ensign of the naval, what we call the naval flag now, or the naval ensign. Remember this, not top right, top left. Okay. And as it is in all flags, it will always be in the top left only, not top right. Because the flag is always hoisted from this side, not from this side. So the flag will always have it in the left. Okay. Now, for the students who love GI, the Tandur red gram, which was recently in the news for its GI tag, belongs to which of the following state? Telangana, Maharashtra, Bihar, Orissa. Very factual question. Either you do it in the examination or you don't do it in the examination. My concept is going to be, please understand this point. If you know these type of questions, do it. Don't do a tukka. Don't go for a fluke here. Because here, if you don't know it, then 100% chance of getting it incorrect. If you can eliminate, make it 50-50, sure, go with it. But don't take a negative. Don't take a negative in these type of questions. Because some students like, I'll put it. Do it if you don't have any option. Okay. A, 75%. Yes, most of you are in the correct zone itself. Yes, Telangana. Telangana is the correct answer. The Tandur red gram has got the GI tag recently. and it has come from the Telangana sector in that regard. Just to refresh your memory with regards to GI, GI, geographical indicators, is a concept wherein a specific commodity is given a recognition from the registrar of GI because of its specific geographical origin. Remember this point. Geographical origin gives it a special quality, and that special quality is recognized vis-a-vis the concept of GI. GI is one of the sisters of all other what we call as intellectual property rights, wherein you have the patent, the trademark, the copyright. Copyright is mostly for literature. Trademark is mostly for what we call as commercial sector, commercial companies in that regard, and patents is for industrial design and mostly pharmaceutical sector and industries and technology. But GI is not that severe as the other three. GI is more about recognition. You can say that I am selling this as the Tandur red gram because it is basically coming from the Tandur sector of Telangana and has a specific quality because of its geographical origin. Remember this point. The beauty of GI is it gives you recognition for specific place. Geographical origin cannot be misused by any other place. So meaning that nobody can sell whilst producing it from, for example, UP and say it's called Tandur red gram. So very straightforward in that regard. Okay, now this is a tricky question because it's not current affairs. I'm staying straightforward. It's a current affairs from 2.5 years, 2-ish years, because UPSC mostly 2 years of current affairs is important. But let's see if you remember it. It's 2021-22 related. Consider the following statements, or consider the following: the Nilambur, the Thrissur, Mysore, Warangal, Varanasi. Which of the above are part of the UNESCO Global Network of Learning Cities? Something which was not in the news recently, but has been in the news, in the past 1.5, 2 years. 3, 4, 5, mostly people are going with. 70% of you, most of you will say that I will skip it. Yes, Kiran, you've written skip it for all the questions till this point, which is not good. But simply 70% of 73% are saying C, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5. Because you know the names of 3, 4, 5, that is why you're answering 3, 4, 5. Because you know Mysore and you know Warangal and you know Varanasi. And because you are not clear about Nilambur and Thrissur, that is why you are not mostly going for it. Okay. 72% C. End it. Here the answer is not C, it's D. 1, 2, and 4. Nothing to do with Mysore and Varanasi. Now I'll very simply tell you the context here. UNESCO Global Network of Learning Cities. 2 cities joined, one was already there, Warangal, and 2 cities from Kerala, which is Thrissur and Nilambur, were added. And what is this concept? So this concept is that UNESCO Institute for Lifelong Learning started in 2013 this concept of global cities of learning cities. What is learning city means? That basically it's about lifelong learning. That if there are institutes which recognize cities which promote lifelong learning amongst local communities, connect them with knowledge, therefore it is called a learning city, because you can learn throughout your life through the certain institutions which are there. So the way they define a learning city is the fact that it should mobilize its resources in every sector to promote inclusive learning in higher education. It should revitalize learning in families and communities, facilitate learning for and in the workplace also, uses modern learning technologies, enhances quality and excellence in learning, and further foster a culture of learning throughout the lifetime itself. Now, very simply, this is why I've given you this question. This is why I've given you this question, because it's not something very recent. It's not something recent, but don't do this, because 3, 4, 5 you answered, and I can automatically argue why. Because you knew the 3, 4, 5. sometimes that logic is not going to work. 3, 4, 5, just that you know these cities, Mysore, Warangal and Varanasi, does not mean that it is the right combination. So very simply, this question is tricky because it is based on a specific idea. More than that, it gives you a false sense of comfort. Okay, I know Varanasi is a very important city. It is a city of a spiritual city, learning city. It is going to be there also. And then you are like, Mysore also important. Then Warangal also important. Because there was no other option with 3 and 4. Then why didn't you answer 2 and B? Answer here is D. Please remember this point. If you're getting these type of questions correct, then very, very good. Don't be overconfident. This is why I'm trying to give you these type of questions. It puts you in a certain comfort zone, then you use a certain type of logic, either overconfidence or overthinking, and then you come to this basic conclusion. So I hope basically D is correct, 1, 2 and 4. Please learn it. Can we move to the 20th? Last 6 questions. Come on. Last half an hour, 6 questions. Yes? Perfect. Great. Again, very specific, related to 2-year-old current affairs. Which of the following has recently won the award for Best Tourism Village by the United Nations World Tourism Organization, the UNWTO? Now, I told you these things you will not find in standard text and books, which is Tiruchirappalli, the Ladpur Khas, Khongtang, Pochampally. Come on. And here again it is going to be mixed up. Praveen, in a way, yes. For current affairs, art and culture, more than enough. Telangana is not in the option, Krishna. Best tourism village it is asking. D, 55%, 56%. It's B, confirm. I like your confidence, Sanket. Very good. Okay. 18, 13, 16, 53. Very good. Okay. Let's end the poll here. Yes, 52% of you are totally correct. It is Pochampally. Now, I'll tell you what is the logic of these questions. This is a very difficult question because it is very obscure that way, and that too done in 2021-22 period. All these 3 cities were actually, Tiruchirappalli have added randomly. These 3 cities, these 3 villages were actually nominated by India. And Pochampally actually won it. Pochampally actually won it. So Pochampally village in Telangana has been selected as one of the best tourism villages in the United Nations World Tourism Organization. And the award was given on the occasion of the 24th session, which happened in 2021 in Madrid, Spain. And the Ministry of Tourism actually represented or wanted to nominate it. Nominated Khongtang, Ladpur Khas and Pochampally in Telangana. And therein comes the concept itself. So please understand this. Please understand this. This is purely where I'm trying to teach you something here. I'm actually trying to teach you something here. I'm not trying to check. I'm teaching you something. Because I know what sources you are going to refer to. I know certain things which you are going to refer to for some reason, certain 364, 368, 365, 364, 380 you will use. And these things are not there in those type of things. So please pay attention here. Now last 5 questions are going to be certainly factual, checking something, but I will also teaching you something here. Learn it here itself. Learn it here itself. Pochampally is the best tourism village 2021 based current affairs, United Nations World Tourism Organization. Clear? Everyone? Okay, perfect. Now let's move to this question. Now this is related to Padma Shri's, very recently Padma Shri Padma Awards. The Etikoppaka toy craft, which was recently in the news, due to the Padma Awards, belongs to Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, Gujarat or Orissa. I told you last questions are going to be a little bit like rapid fire. Come on. (96%) 95%. Very good. 96, 96, 94. Too easy a question. My bad. Everybody knew about it. Very good. As it is, it was on news quite a lot. So, yes, 90% of you are totally correct here. It's Andhra Pradesh. The Etikoppaka toy craft comes from the Andhra Pradesh sector, and one of the craftsmen have got the Padma Award. It is also a GI tagged product from the state itself, and it's a 400-year-old tradition, and based on what is called wood painting and what natural painting in that regard, and lacquer. Lacquer is what they put to make the wood non-abrasive in that regard. But basically, this is a very, very important tradition which was in the news quite a lot again. And again, very simply, Padma Shri, not the name became important, but the craft became important. So, Andhra Pradesh, very simply, the Etikoppaka toy craft. Simple, 2 marks in the examination. If you can get it, then automatically you can get the 2 marks. Again, very important point. If you know it, answer. Don't know it, don't answer. Don't take a negative. This is the basic point. Do not take a negative in the examination, because sometimes it's always about managing the negative marking also. So just don't try your luck in these type of questions, because they're very specific type of questions. If you can eliminate, if you can bring it to 50%, which is able to eliminate 2 options, then I ask you to go for it. When you don't know anything, don't do it. Right? So I hope you will remember it for the examination. Okay. Very, very beautiful question. With reference to the Mahakaleshwar temple, which was recent in the news, consider the following statements. It is the only Jyotirlinga facing the south. The rituals of this temple were mentioned in even Kalidasa's Meghaduta. Which of the statements are correct? Come on. %, C, both 1 and 2, 54%. The other option which is quite popular is 34%, B, 50, 34, 12, 2%. Okay. We'll give it another 5 to 10 seconds. 36, 46. 36:45. Great. We can end the poll now. Now, here the answer is both statements are correct. See, Jyotirlings, except for Mahakaleshwar temple, face the east direction. This is the only temple in Ujjain, Mahakaleshwar temple itself, which actually faces the south. Ancient city of Ujjain, it is the only one which faces south. All of them face east except for Mahakaleshwar. This is a very important concept. And Kalidasa's text called Meghdut basically is when a Yaksha Yakshi sends a message from the what we call as the Vindhya Satpura range towards the Himalaya, Meghdut. In the Meghdut, when the Megh crosses the Ujjain sector, it actually, Kalidasa actually talks about the rituals which are done in the Mahakaleshwar temple. So it is referred to in the Kalidas text of Meghdut. And further, please understand this. It is the only, here the extreme statement again is not something related to an extreme statement. It is true. It is actually true. Out of all Jyotirlingas, this is the one which faces south. Every other Jyotirlinga faces the east. Please remember this point very, very clearly. With the Somnath question coming last year, it's a very realistic question in the examination. So please understand this point. Please Understand this point. Question number 2022, etched in your mind. You will never forget this concept, right? Last 3 questions, everybody has to be with me, right? Last 3 questions, come on. Okay. The Sithanavasal caves, which were recently in the news, belong to which of the following traditions? Very easy question. Jain, Buddhist, Ajivik, Hinduistic. Come on. This is a very simple question. The poll is now going to be pushed to you. Yes, great. Sithanavasal caves, very static question. Now based on current affairs, because of the Sithanavasal caves becoming endangered, because of the way there's a lot of murals which are getting destroyed, CCTV cameras have been installed. The only dash tradition in the Tamil Nadu sector. Further, it is the only cave tradition which comes out of the Pandya period. So, come on. Which tradition does it go with? A, people say 76%. That is the most popular answer here. Okay, come on. We can end more or less everybody is on the same page. Yes, Jain tradition. It's a Jain tradition. Jain cave temple complex. Very famous, known for its frescoes on the ceiling. More than that, Arverkorel is the specific complex in which we find the very beautiful scene of the grand conference in that regard. But what is more important here is that it is under endangered, but the most important feature is Pandya period, Chera Chola Pandya period cave temple it is, and that too a Jain. Very simple question. We do it always in class. It's part of standard static, but in the current affairs in that regard. Okay. 23, everybody is now, second last question. Purely factual question, as I told you, not in the news quite a lot, but you will do it. The India Ki Udaan initiative, which was recently in the news, was launched by World Bank, Ministry of Culture, Niti Aayog and Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of Culture and Ministry of Tourism, and Google and Ministry of Culture. Come on, everybody. The initiative, whilst you are answering, is basically based on how India's cultural heritage can be used to be pushed to create a new culture, a new Udaan, in the sense a new height for us in that regard. And what you are doing is that you don't know the answer. But what you're doing is you're using the ministries to basically mix it up. So because you know that this session is art and culture, so you are mixing 2 of these ministries, which is coming to C, 52%. Your logic is art and culture session, so it has to be Ministry of Culture and Ministry of Tourism. However, that is not the answer. That is not the answer. The answer here is D, Google and Ministry of Culture. Google and Ministry of Culture have actually partnered together to create a new portal and a new platform on which India can, or the cultural heritage of India can be used to represent in that regard a new height in our cultural heritage, and more than that, in representation. So it celebrates our culture through this portal. So again, India Ki Udaan seems like, see, if I have actually, listen to me, if this question was given in a way mixed up with other current affairs, not in the session of art and culture, you would have not even answered culture and Ministry of Tourism. You would have gone for most probably Niti Aayog. But because you know it is not Niti Aayog, cannot be that is why you've answered C. C was the overwhelming answer. I know your logic. 2 departments related to culture in that regard. So, last question. Come on. Project Vani is an AI-based language model that can understand diverse Indian languages and dialects. A monument can be designated as a monument of national importance under the section of State Reorganization Act 1956. Which of the statements are correct? 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, neither 1 and 2. This is the last question we do, and thereafter I give you basic tips for what to do for the examination. Come on. Statement is correct, incorrect. A 59%, C 57%. Very good, great. 55% C, 54% C, A, D, B, all options are there. Very good. D, A. We'll give it another second or so. Okay, we'll end the poll here. 51, 40, 4, 3. Here the answer is yes. Both statements are correct. A lot of you are looking at this and saying, how can it be? See, Project Vani, which is Indian Institute of Sciences, the Art Park AI Robotics Technology Park based company, and Google are mapping all the different languages of India so as to create the concept of AI based model to understand the languages of India. Languages are very vulnerable that way. But the catch is not this. The catch is second statement. That is why I did this question with you. Very simply, when the ASI is designating certain monuments as what is called national monuments, there are certain sections which are used. So you have first, which is Ancient and Historical Monuments and Archaeological Sites and Remains Act, which is the easiest, which is 1951. But under, and this is the interesting aspect, under Article 126 of the States Reorganization Act of 1956, actually you can designate a monument as national monument. And that is why I am discussing it here. So very simply, if the monument gets a tag of national importance, you would have to then protect it, conserve it and maintain it through the ASI. But the simple point of the matter is that national monument tag is related to both State Reorganization Act after the Fazal Ali Committee and also the Ancient Historical. They will never give you this statement because this is the easiest. This is where it really matters. This is where it really matters. So before I end the session, see, you got 1 correct, you got 16 correct, 19 correct, 25 out of 25 correct. Nobody would have got 25 out of 25. It would be mostly 60 to 70, 80% questions correct, which is 16, 70. See, that is not the purpose of this session. It is not to demoralize you or to basically tell you that there's an issue in your preparation. Rather, my task here was 2 things. First, you need to understand that art and culture is a very important zone in which current affairs is now dictating the questions. Second, the most important concept here is that you need to understand when you are overconfident, when you are overthinking, your technique should be right. And generally, I have also through this session discussed 30 to 35 current affairs issues with you. So I hope this made sense to you. I hope you found this session very, very useful. If you did, do like, share and subscribe. And more than that, tomorrow we will have report and indices. So that is going to be the last sessions. And today it was about art and culture. Thank you. Take care. And as I said, all the best for the examination. Don't overthink. Do not get demoralized at the wrong moment. Do not get demotivated. And remember why you started. Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow with CNA in the morning. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye. All the best. And I hope and you will rock the examination on 28th. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.